My name is Whitney, like Houston. I'm actually based out of Houston. And my last name is really Person, just like one people. But to make that easy to remember, just call me Whitney, the health insurance person. So I am so glad to be here today. Thank you, Mika, for giving me a platform to inform and educate people about some parts of the healthcare industry that they may not be aware of. Although our health is priceless, it can definitely affect your financial wellness. So I want to go over some ways that people can put their money to best use when it comes to their health. So I created a little slideshow for you guys today. And it will also help keep me on track. So I'm going to share my screen because we have a lot of information to cover here. Can everyone see my screen okay? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so as you guys know, the topic of today's talk is money wellness. So I am Whitney. I'm the owner of Serenity Benefits Group. It's a health insurance brokerage based in Houston, Texas. And we specialize in insurance solutions to give you peace of mind. So are you guys ready to have a wonderful half hour filled with the super fun, exciting topic of health insurance? Yay! All right, let's get it started. So I did give you my intro. I'm Whitney, the health insurance person. I am a licensed health insurance broker. So what does that mean? As a broker, I do not work for any specific insurance company. I work for the client, and I can work with any insurance company. So it's a very client-centered, solutions-based approach. And I founded Serenity Benefits Group. It is a health insurance brokerage. So I specialize in Medicare and individual plans for people under 65, individuals and families who may or may not have an employer option available, group employer plans. And you can see on the screen where I'm licensed in the 13 states there. If it's one of the states that you're in, feel free to reach out to me if you ever have any questions. And the reason why I do this type of work is I didn't know what I didn't know. I was working for a skilled nursing facility and I was processing insurance authorizations, and I just learned so much about insurance, it blew my mind. And I was thinking to myself, you know, why is this not more common knowledge? Why don't we have a better understanding of how health insurance works and how we can set ourselves up for success a little bit better? So when I gained that knowledge, I felt very empowered, and I love empowering other people with the same information to take their health and wellness and you know their money wellness into their own hands. So we're definitely going to be covering some things that can assist with that today. So today's takeaways will be, first off, learn some best practices on ways to save money on policies, on procedures, and on prescriptions. Also, we want to learn about important changes that are happening in the healthcare industry as a result of the American Rescue Plan that was signed into law on March 11th. So this is some brand new legislation that is really, really big and monumental, and certainly has a huge effect on American families. And then ultimately, I want everyone to leave as a more informed and empowered healthcare consumer. So get ready, because y'all are about to drink from a fire hose for the next 30 minutes, okay? Disclaimer, of course, I got to get all the legal stuff out of the way. So the resources provided herein are meant to be a guide only, and are not actual insurance or coverage, nor are they all inclusive. Information is subject to change. User assumes all risks in final billing. Please see your policy documents for details on coverage, exclusions, and or limitations may apply, and this may not be available in all states. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. So when I'm talking to clients or you know, just anyone who has questions, I want to make sure that you guys understand some key insurance terminology, because there's so many acronyms, there's so much jargon that goes along with it. It can easily sound like word soup, and you can talk over someone's head in a second with all of that. So I'm going to cover 5 basic insurance terms. I'm going to try to do it in under a minute. So you have your premium, and that's your monthly payment for an insurance policy. Then you have your deductible. Your deductible is the amount that you must pay before insurance kicks in. I like to equate this as like a cover charge to a club. You cannot get into the club until you pay the cover charge. Insurance will not start paying until you have satisfied that deductible. Now you have copays as well. Copays are a fee for medical treatment. So you may see copays for doctor's visits, maybe for blood work or diagnostic testing. People like plans with copays because they know what to expect. They know if I go to the doctor, I'm going to pay 30, 40, 50 bucks. But for that reason, because copays are predictable, those plans tend to be a little bit more expensive. Copays actually don't count towards your deductible, but they will count towards your out-of-pocket spending for the year. So if you see a copay by itself, then you know that's what you're going to pay. Sometimes you'll see a copay with your deductible and you've got to pay both, but that's kind of a little breakdown of copays. Then you have coinsurance. This is where a lot of people really get confused. Coinsurance will always be a percentage. Some people know this as 80-20, 70-30, 60-40. So coinsurance is what kicks in after you meet your deductible. Now the insurance says, okay, you've got some skin in the game by satisfying this deductible. Now we'll start sharing in your medical expenses, and we will pay, if you have a plan that's 80-20, we'll pay 80% of your medical expenses after you meet your deductible, and then you'll be responsible for the remaining 20 until you hit that magic figure at the bottom called the out-of-pocket maximum. That's your stop loss in a really, I'll say, if you have a bad accident or a bad illness, you have a bad year, then that's your out-of-pocket maximum. That's where insurance says, okay, after you have paid this much out of your pocket, we will cover reasonable and customary charges at 100%. So 5 key terms to understand when we're talking about insurance. So I know you're probably thinking, that's nice and all, Whitney, thank you. But now, can you really just tell me how I can save some money? Sure, we'll go ahead and get started. So let's talk about ways that people save money on policies. So there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different strategies that you can employ or look into to save money on policies. Number one, you can see if you can qualify for a tax credit or a subsidy. Now, this is for people who do not have an employer option available, meaning their job does not offer them insurance. If your job offers you insurance, then your employer is required to pay 50% of the employee's premiums. Okay, so you're kind of they already see you as getting some subsidized healthcare. But if you don't have an employer option available, then you could get a tax credit or a subsidy on the marketplace based off of your household size and income. So you should definitely see if you qualify for that. Speak with a licensed agent, reach out to me, and we can take a look into that for you to see if you qualify for this. Secondly, you can see if you qualify for an underwritten plan. So let's say you want to go with a private health insurance option. These are oftentimes, more times than not, underwritten. And that means they look into your medical history to determine if they want to offer you coverage or not, right? So they can decide who they want to accept, they can manage their risk. And so for that reason, if you are able to get onto one of these plans, the premiums tend to be a little bit lower because the insurance company is managing their risk up front. So that's one way to see if you can find savings on a health insurance policy. Another way is to get into a high deductible health plan. So your deductible is directly related to your premium. The higher your premium, the lower your deductible usually is, or vice versa. The lower your premium, the higher your deductible is. So remember, the deductible is the amount you must pay before insurance kicks in. So if, say for instance, you just don't go to the doctor very often, you're not really thinking you're going to have high medical usage in a certain year, but you just want something in place to make sure that you're covered, then you could consider signing on to a high deductible health plan. I oftentimes recommend pairing this with maybe an HSA, a health savings account, or a direct primary care model where you have unlimited access to a primary care physician, so that you're not out of your pocket for every little thing. But that's definitely one strategy you can employ, is to get onto a high deductible health plan. Another way to save money on policies is to split families. So it is not necessary for everyone in the household to be on the same plan, especially if they have very different medical needs. Okay, so say for instance someone is pregnant or maybe going through some sort of medical event. I would suggest putting that person on a policy that's tailored to their usage, and everyone else on a policy that's tailored to their usage. That way, you don't have to put the whole family on a plan that is tailored to high usage throughout the year. You can keep some dollars in your pocket by splitting families. Another way to save is to think about getting some supplemental coverage. Of course, this is more, I like to present this more as income replacement. When you are going through a medical event, yes, you need coverage to pay doctors, to pay hospitals, but a lot of times, if it's depending on the severity of the medical event, some people have to stop working. They it definitely affects their income. They may have to travel for their medical treatment. So if you have in place some really some decent supplemental coverage, which is not that expensive at all, you could actually get lump sums paid out to you when you are going through a medical event, so you don't have to worry about how your rent or mortgage is going to be paid, or how you're going to keep the lights on or make the car payment. So that's definitely one way that you can protect yourself in advance. And lastly, there are health share plans available. These are an alternative to insurance. It's not insurance, but it can be helpful. It's basically groups of people coming together to share medical expenses. In certain situations, it can be a supplement or a strategy depending on someone's situation. So then, now this is where we really get into saving money. Once you have your health insurance policy, using it and keeping the dollars in your pocket, or making your dollars work best for you, is one thing that people really don't take into consideration. So we consume healthcare. We spend money for it. It is a product. It is a service. And so one thing, I want to say healthcare is probably one of the only things that we don't ask how much it costs before we consume it. And that's problematic. So you should absolutely ask questions. Price shop your procedures, your prescriptions, even, your doctors, your surgeons, your surgeries. And I have listed here some websites that you can check out that are resources to do these things. So I want to first talk about the Surgery Center of Oklahoma. They are pioneers in price transparency. They have all of their surgeries and the pricing of their surgeries listed on their website. So you can sort of get an understanding of what a fair price for a certain surgery may be. They also, for this reason, have a pretty big stake in medical tourism, because people are like, well, I can, if you're uninsured, or even, you can get a better price by doing a little bit of research and maybe going here. Some people travel outside of the country to get a surgery done. You might want to check this place out first. Then you should also price shop and compare costs of procedures. So you see some websites listed here: newchoicehealth.com, mdsave.com, healthcarebluebook.com. And then I also have greenimaging.net. That's for scans like MRIs, PET scans, CAT scans. I'll give you a story. I had to schedule an MRI, right? And the copay for that MRI was $1,000. And I'm thinking to myself, that's insane. So I called around and I said, what is, I started shopping around. And do you know that I ultimately got that MRI for $300, saving myself $700. I paid cash, right? But at the same time, people don't realize that you can do this. You can absolutely do this. You should be shopping and seeing if you have a better solution. And there's some tools listed here for you to do some research into that. And also mammograms. There are reduced cost mammograms during Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. There's all sorts of ways to save money when you actually have to start using your health insurance and keeping some dollars in your pocket. All right. I also want to say, pro tip here on the side, ask the cash price. That's for example, rather than paying that $1,000 copay, just I did $300 worth of cash instead. And another thing I just thought about in terms of keeping dollars in your pocket, I believe is on the last slide and I left it behind, so I'm going back to pick it up, is with your policy, always stay in network. Whether you, if you can stay in network, try to, because whether you have an HMO where you have no out of network coverage or an EPO or PPO, it's always, your medical treatment is always going to be cheaper by staying in network. Okay. So there's that. Lastly, prescriptions. Ask your doctor, is there a generic available? The generic has to have the same composition and effectiveness as the brand name. So if you can, it's going to be a fraction of the price. If you can get generic, if you can get a generic prescription, go for that. Or is it going to be cheaper, like we just discussed, to pay cash? There's tons, and I mean tons of resources to shop prescriptions. One of the most popular ones that many may or may not be aware of is GoodRx. It's a free website where you can type in a prescription and it'll tell you what pharmacies in your area are charging for it. And you just go to the cheapest one. I will say that usually grocery stores tend to be very inexpensive places to get your prescriptions filled. The big box stores on the corners tend to be the most expensive places to get your prescriptions filled, without calling out any names. But there's just a little tip there. So then you can see number 2, farmstore.com. This is actually a website where you can order prescriptions from Canada. So as long as the drug is not a controlled substance or doesn't need to be refrigerated, and you have an order, you can see if you can get better pricing through there. And then there's tons of other websites, familywise.org, Drexy.com, RxSaver. There's Prescription Hope. There's income-based ways to save on prescriptions. You can see if you can get a manufacturer's coupon. If you do have a high-cost drug that you just can't find a solution for, you can contact the company and see if they'll give you, give it to you for free. And then I've listed the website down below, some vaccine resources for children. Also, I just want to give a shout out to local pharmacies, because I like to support small business. They are oftentimes very willing to support their community. And so definitely check out some local small business, support your small businesses in the community. Check out local pharmacies and see if they can work with you when it comes to prescription pricing as well. All right, so this is something that I don't think people talk about enough, and let's talk about the emergency room. So the emergency room is one of the most inflated parts of the healthcare system. I like to say, before you run to the emergency room for a tummy ache or a skin rash, let's talk about some of the resources you could use beforehand, right? So the emergency room is definitely, if you're about to lose your life or limb, please, by all means, go to the emergency room. But if it's, like I said, just something maybe not so serious as that, a lot of plans these days have telemedicine. Maybe Teladoc MD Live, something where you can do a virtual doctor's visit from the comfort of your couch or your bed even. And they can send a prescription into the pharmacy of your choosing. So if you have that on your health plan, see if you can use that resource, please do. If you need someone to look at you or touch you and you can wait, then see if you can get into your doctor's office. That may not always be feasible in certain situations. So if you need, if you're able to, you can go to maybe a Minute Clinic or a Ready Clinic that's in some of those big box stores on the corner and in a grocery store. Or there's always urgent care. Urgent care, they can do a lot of things at urgent care. They can give you stitches, they can reset broken bones. I mean, they can tell you if you need to go to the emergency room by going to urgent care. And usually, a lot of plans have very low copays for a visit to urgent care. Whereas if you go to the emergency room, a lot of times you're going to hit your deductible and or your maximum out of pocket for the year because it's very expensive. So I definitely want to make sure I'm sharing that with you guys. Now, let's talk about the American Rescue Plan that was signed into law on March 11th, 2021. This is the law that provided us our most recent round of stimulus checks, but it also includes, I mean, there were so many things in this package, but there was some big things that happened for the healthcare industry. So earlier, I was discussing with you guys how individuals who do not have an employer option are able to get subsidies on the marketplace depending on their income and household size. So if you are currently getting a subsidy on the marketplace, the American Rescue Plan, shortened to ARP, is increasing that subsidy. This does not happen automatically. You have to go back in and submit your application, and those changes take effect on May 1st. This began on April 1st, where you could review what your new increased subsidy would be, and then when you resubmit your application, it will go into effect on May 1st. But if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change until you file your taxes at the end of 2021, okay? And then it'll reconcile at that time. But if you want to get a bigger subsidy as you're paying your premiums every month, contact your agent or you can contact me and we can look into that in more detail. Also, there was an income cap on who could get a subsidy. It was if your household income was over 400% of the federal poverty level, then you were not eligible for a subsidy. They have removed that cap and they have replaced it by saying for 2021 and 2022, that is, that your health insurance premiums cannot exceed 8.5% of your income. If it is over 8.5% of your income, that will be subsidized. So people who previously could not get subsidies are now, not everyone, but a much larger demographic of people are now eligible for subsidies. So that's pretty huge. It also, the American Rescue Plan also gives special consideration to individuals on unemployment. So this is really big. If you filed for unemployment or you received unemployment compensation for at least 1 week in 2021, you are eligible for $0 marketplace bronze plans and the first and second cheapest silver plans on the marketplace. So that is huge. And I don't know how many people know this, but definitely if you know someone who is on unemployment, they should be aware of that because they can have access to $0 marketplace health insurance plans. Lastly, it provided for COBRA subsidies. So individuals who have COBRA as a result of reduction of hours or loss of employment layoffs due to the COVID pandemic will have their COBRA premium subsidized for 6 months from April 1st till the end of September. Now, as you guys know, anyone who has ever been presented with a COBRA package has probably experienced some sticker shock, right? Because they're used to their employer paying at least 50% of their health insurance premiums. And then, when they are separating from their employment, they have to pay 100% plus usually a 2% administration fee. So they get the offering and they're like, wow, this is really expensive. Well, this is really big. They will not have to pay for COBRA for 6 months until through September 30th. So those are some of the high level big changes that have happened in the healthcare industry as a result of the American Rescue Plan. And the most important way, or the most important thing you can do to keep dollars in your pocket, is to consult with a licensed agent or broker, because we will definitely try to help you employ strategies. So I tell this all the time: friends, don't let friends go online looking for health insurance. Don't do it. Number one, there's really only a few safe websites you can go to. You may go online putting all your information in, thinking a quote is going to pop back, and that almost never happens. Your information just gets sold and your phone blows up for about 6 months. So beware. Definitely, when you are looking for insurance, I can imagine it's like being dropped in a jungle in the middle of the night. You don't know where it ends, where it begins. I live in the jungle, so I've seen it during the daytime. I've got a map of the jungle, and I know what animals live in it. So I'd always be willing and happy to help you guys. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for being here with me today.